Most med spa events don't actually turn into anything. And I know that because I spent a lot of time doing them completely wrong. I was showing up, setting up a table, talking to people, handing out cards, and then going home with essentially nothing to show for it. I kept hearing that events were one of the best ways to generate leads for a med spa, so I kept doing them and they kept not working until we completely changed our approach. I'm Melissa Tyler. I've opened and scaled 4 med spas over the last 3 years, and I've been doing ground marketing events for pretty much that entire time. So I've had a lot of reps at this, a lot of events that didn't work, and then eventually a system that actually does. So today I'm gonna walk you through exactly what changed and how we now go into events and come home with real leads and real patients booked on the other side of it. So let me take you back to when we started with these. Our early events felt really unintentional. We'd sign up for something, show up, set up a little display, a table, smile at people as they walked by, and that was kind of it. We weren't capturing anything. We weren't offering anything. We were just kind of there. And at the end of the day, we'd pack up and go home, and I'd think, okay, people saw us. Let me wait for the calls to roll in. Spoiler, they didn't. And then it hit me one day. The problem wasn't the events. The problem was we weren't actually capturing anything from them. We were having great conversations. People were interested, but attention without a capture system is really just noise. So I stopped trying to just show up and be present at these events. I started treating every event like a lead generation system. It sounds simple, but it completely changes how you prepare for these events because the event itself is actually the smallest part of the equation. The system around it is the most important part. So here's what we started to do. Every event we lead with an offer, something that gives people a real reason to actually stop and engage with us, not just glance at our table and keep walking. For us, that's usually one of two things. Either a raffle for something with a high perceived value, free peptide packages, free treatment credits, things like that, or we offer something free, like a vitamin injection, something really affordable for us, but it feels like it has a really big value. So this is why the offer matters so much. It's not just about getting people excited, it's about giving them a reason to give you their information. Because without something to trade, people are not gonna wanna fill out a form or agree to marketing consent. But the offer is what really unlocks the lead capture. So here's how the actual capture part works. We have a QR code at our table, and in order to get the free thing or enter the raffle, they scan the QR code and they fill out a very quick form. The form is really simple. We're talking name, phone number, consent to marketing. That's it. And email too. Because honestly, that's all you need. You don't need their full health history for an event. You just need enough to follow up with them. Now, you're not just having a conversation, you're walking away with actual leads. That is such a different feeling at the end of an event. You're leaving with a list, a real list of people who showed up and showed genuine interest in you and gave you permission to follow up. I want to spend a second on this part because a lot of people overcomplicate this. Every field you add to a form is a reason for someone not to complete it. Everything else you can get later once they're actually a patient with you. So once the leads come in through a QR code form, here is where they go. Everything flows directly into our CRM. So the second someone fills out that form, they're already in our system, tagged and ready to receive follow-up. We also push everything automatically into a Google Sheet. So we have a really clean, organized record of every lead that came in from the event. Who came in, what time, and from what event, of course. This is so helpful for actually tracking which events are performing and which ones are worth going back to, because not all events are created equal, and having that data makes it really easy to make decisions going forward. You wanna know where your leads are coming from so you can do more of what actually works and not waste your time on events that don't. So here's the part that I think most people completely miss, and honestly, it's where most events fail, even when the capture part goes well. The event isn't where the value comes from. The value comes from what you do after the event. The event is really just top of funnel and first touch. And if you don't actually have a follow-up system ready to go the moment someone fills out that form, you are leaving so much potential revenue on the table because these leads are warm. They physically showed up, somewhere, stopped at your table, gave you their information, probably talked with you, potentially had a conversation to where you got to know each other. That is a completely different type of lead than someone who clicked on an ad at midnight. But warm leads still can go cold if you don't follow up fast. And I think that's the mistake that most people make. So the follow-up system. Here's what our follow-up actually looks like. Right after the event, and I mean right after, not the next morning, we start hitting those leads with texts and emails. The first message goes out same day. Usually something simple. Hey, thank you for stopping by. It was great to meet you. Here's how to claim your offer. Stay tuned for the raffle reveal, something along those lines. And then they go into a nurture. Over the next several days, weeks, months, they're going to be hit with our booking link, which is our main call to action every single time. Because the goal is to get them booked, not just stay top of mind. Every message should be moving towards an actual booking link or whatever your call to action is, and the flows don't stop just because they haven't responded yet. We actually keep sending these messages until they have booked or removed themselves from the flow or became a patient, of course. That's just how our system is built, and honestly, this is where actual conversions happen. The events get them in the top of funnel, and the follow-up system is what turns them into patients. I actually just had a patient convert a year later after an event the other day, and I remember our general manager coming in being like, this guy actually mentioned how amazing the flow was because he's like, I wanted to come in, I just didn't have a good time or know enough information. And because of that, I'm really happy that you guys kept sending messages, which is awesome. So let me talk about why this whole approach actually works and why I think ground marketing events are genuinely one of the most underrated lead sources for med spas right now. First, these leads are warm. Like I said, they showed up in person, they engaged with you face to face, and there's already a relationship there. Even if it's just a 2-minute conversation, that matters. Second, the cost per lead is really low compared to paid ads. You're not paying per click and you're not competing in an auction. You show up and run your system and leave with leads that cost you very little to acquire. And third, when you combine a strong offer with a clean capture system and a real follow-up, you're building something compounding. Every event adds to your database. Over time, it really does add up into a significant source of patients. In this business, leads are expensive, and this is honestly one of the best ways that we found to generate high quality leads at a lower cost. I really wanted to end with some of the biggest mistakes I see med spa owners make at events because I made it myself for a long time, which is they show up hoping that something happens. They have a great table and they're friendly, they hand out cards and just hope that it turns into patients somehow. Without an actual system, nothing happens. The event is really just the opportunity, but the system that we've built is what turns that opportunity into real patients and revenue. And once you have that system dialed in, events stop feeling like a gamble and start to feel like a reliable, reputable lead source, which is exactly what you want. You don't want to be wasting your Saturdays anymore at these events with nothing to show for it. Trust me, I did that for way too long. Now it feels worth my time and I'm more than happy to be there. So to recap really quickly, lead with an offer, capture with a QR code form, keep it simple, get organized, and then follow up immediately and consistently. Once we started treating events like a lead gen system instead of just a marketing activity for fun, it really did change the game for us truly, and I hope it can for you too. Once those leads are in your system, you need a booking flow that converts them. I will link everything we use below, including Lobby, if you wanna see how we connect all of it. They do free demos and it's really worth checking out. They have an incredible UTM feature that you cannot miss. It has changed the game for us too, and I will see you in the next video.